All right. Hey, good morning. I'd like to open up just by congratulating Ethan Downs on being named to the All-State AFCA Good Works team for his tremendous community service. And he's only representative from the Big 12 Conference and one of 11 players in the country to receive this honor. So great job, Ethan. Wonderful honor. So I'd like to open it up for questions.
Starting here, go down, Jesse, left side.
Hey, Brent, just wanted to ask you about Danny Stutzman. I think he leads the team in tackles through 2 weeks. He had 17 on Saturday. Maybe just compared to where he was through 2 weeks, last year, maybe where have you seen him grow the most on the field?
Yeah, probably his confidence. He's playing in a confident way. He's able to have a different level of anticipation because of his knowledge. Again, just being another year in the system, he's a lot more comfortable. He's able to lead. He's not, in the back. He's in the front. So last year, David Webu was probably our leader there. And so he's taken those reins, his leadership and confidence.
Bob?
Yeah, Brent, we know a lot of the players have mentioned second year in the system, but what else is it about Key Lawrence that's different?
I think, he's not worried about external factors. And he's just worried about being a great teammate, doing his job, playing at a high level, letting the game come to him. He's playing aggressively and just playing with a lot of confidence. I think he's having some fun. I don't want to speak for him on every one of those, but if I'm around him every day, in the back seven meeting and certainly on the practice field. So that's what I see.
Eli?
Brent, you spoke last week about that there's got to be a future at quarterback beyond this season. And in that context, when you're talking about developing Jackson more than just the appearances he's making now, what are you hoping he gets out of that playing time? And is it safe to assume that a red shirt's not in the picture if he's going to be out there like that?
Yeah, he's our number 2 quarterback. I don't see any reason we would want to redshirt him. We can't afford to. We don't have the depth, at that position. So I'd like to continue to bring him along. And what we're doing with him, I don't think that's necessarily indicative of what he can't do. So we'll continue to, give him some opportunity when it's the right time, and trying to get him, experience, confidence, comfort, all of those things through getting on the field and meaningful playing time.
James?
Hey, Brent, I had a chance to talk to Kevin recently, and he talked about some of the battles you had with him at practice and things. He had a lot of complimentary things, and of course, he had a pretty good offense at the time. But what do you remember about some of those battles, and what do you think about what he's doing now at Tulsa offensively, and what does Tulsa have offensively?
The battles were what they were. In the moment, it's personal. You're trying to win. At least that's the goal. Very competitive, competitive. He's a really smart coach and a tough guy, and that's what it's about, man. Practice, the practice field is how you become, a good player, a good unit, a good team. And so both of us are very passionate about, our craft, and Kevin's done a great job, wherever he's been. If he's just coaching the tight ends, or he's coaching the quarterbacks, or whether he's at Northwestern or Oklahoma or Indiana, Ohio State, now at Tulsa, he's always done a fantastic job. He's one of my favorite people that I've worked with, and a good friend and a great dad and great husband, and a dang good football coach. And Tulsa's lucky to have him, and I see his players playing, aggressively and playing confidently. Even watch him going up to Washington, traveling halfway across the country. They played in a very first third down of the game. They go first down, second down, third down, conversion, real fearless. And that's, he's kind of got a go for broke mindset. So he'll do a great job there, and his players are representing him well right now.
Eric Bailey.
Brent, when you have a defense playing at such a high level, how do you balance wanting your defense to play with a little bit of swagger, but not be overconfident? Where do you find that fine line of balance?
Again, just having respect, for the game, and it's not all about you. And you want guys to be passionate, and intense, and to have fun, have enthusiasm, but not lose their mind or their poise. I think having poise and maturity is part of it too. Don't act like a fool. We got to actually play third down now. You made a tackle for loss. Congratulations. We ran you through the A gap. Nobody blocked you. Let's play. And just having, I think having humility and confidence can go hand in hand, and having a never satisfied mindset. But the swagger and the confidence, the edge, if you will, comes from the work that you put in. Countless hours of work. So you want them to have all those things, but I'm a big believer in pointing and running. When I make a play, I point to my teammates, I point to my family, I point to my coach. When my teammate makes a play, a great play, and I'm running to celebrate his success. I'm more about that than, sometimes, I'm assuming that. And again, I don't mind a guy celebrating, so I don't want to sound like, coach don't want to have any fun. This is the no fun zone. It actually, and not that we are, but dominating somebody is fun. And, so again, I just think keeping your emotions in check and having, poise is important. Yep.
Jenny.
Hey, Brent, these games against Tulsa, you guys have set up some series as programs between the two. What value do you see in playing another in-state team playing Tulsa? And then some of these games are up there. Is there a different value that you ascribe to going up to Tulsa to play them?
I don't know if it's a different value. It's certainly a great opportunity for us to play. We're going to play on the road. At least we're playing in state, so we have a lot of people that love the Sooners have an opportunity to watch us play. I like the familiarity that the players will have with one another. Again, half their team is from the state of Oklahoma or the Dallas Metroplex, and I think it's great for them in their program. We want to see everybody in state, have some level of success. So it gives us both an opportunity to people to, pitch their flag, if you will, and show their loyalty. So it's good for the pageantry of college football, playing each other in state, and as they build their program and we're building ours, I think we all win, through it all.
Yeah, Brent. Texas beat Alabama and looked good doing it. To whatever degree Texas is rising and Alabama's falling, how does that affect you going forward in terms of what you got to do in the future?
Well, I'm only kind of smirking because Alabama falling, I'm not sure. Texas, apparently I did not see the game. Apparently they played fantastic. You don't just go into Bryant-Denny Stadium and win and not play pretty dang good. So, credit to them for that. I don't necessarily think that's indicative of Nebraska or Texas falling. Or Alabama falling. I don't even know what to say. That doesn't sound right. So I don't know how to say it. My brain doesn't think like that, apparently. But, I just say, hey, man, this is the league that, we signed up for. And this is college football. But those are, two really, good programs, and Alabama's been the gold standard for a long time. That doesn't mean they're not vulnerable to a great game, and they came up on the short side of it. That's the game too. I'm sure there's moments and plays in that game where they were punished for not doing X or Y or Z the right way, and then again, this is a game of performance and guys winning their matchups, and it sounds like Texas made some great plays, and no surprise. Sounds like it was a great game, and great venue, and those are two teams right now that are, and again, early in the season, playing really well. But I don't think it's indicative necessarily that Alabama is going to fall off the face of college football either. Not that you said that, but they'll respond. I'm sure of that.
George?
Brent, there's a lot of metrics out there about tackling, and I saw one out there that was, you guys had 33 missed tackles through the first 2 games last year. This year you only have 7. I'm sure you guys have your own grading system, but do you feel like the tackling has been better, and what exactly goes into that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot goes into it, and again, sometimes you're a little more consistent tackling because maybe the quality of the athletes aren't exposing you. I have, again, I put it all out there because I do think that that's important. But SMU, had good skill, and so give our guys some credit. I think it comes from, again, confidence and good eyes and good reaction, good fundamentals. Guys that are more knowledgeable are going to take better angles, and they're going to play more aggressively and not be on their heels. So sometimes the byproduct of that is good, clean tackling, techniques. And so again, another year in the system and another year in all your drill work and your fundamentals. And we're no different than anyone else. We work on tackling, practically year round. And some guys are more natural tackling. That's a real thing. And the guy just has a way of getting them down. And he always hits them flush. Curtis Lofton was a guy that had very few missed tackles. A guy like Rocky Kalmus always got guys down. He just hardly ever missed a tackle. So some guys, and Roe Williams, is amazing, how he could hit people flush all the time, no matter what angle, what position he was coming from. And so some guys are naturally good, and so looks like you're a great tackling team, but they're really good tacklers. And then you develop it too. And so I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And, the test of a season will really tell where you're at. But again, my job is to recognize the here and the now. You play your schedule, you correct, you teach, you develop, but you want to celebrate, too. And guys need to be affirmed. I think that's what continues the buy-in, the excitement that, all right, the recognition that some of the hard work's paying off and we're getting a little better. And we got, a long ways to go. I really mean that. And but through a couple games where our position's been pretty good.
Secondly, is Justin Harrington healthy? I know that you mentioned after the game he was a little bit banged up, but I know he had a brace on.
Yeah, he's still banged up.
Yeah.
Far right, Ryan?
You talked about the growth in the secondary, but how much of his reinforcement, confidence boost is it for a guy like Kenai Walker, for Gentry to go down and come in and play well? And then secondly, is Gentry going to be available as well this weekend?
Yeah, Gentry will, and Kenai, he had some really good plays in the game. He's getting a little bit better, and excited for him, excited for us. I made a first third down play, and his fundamentals were pretty good through most of the play, and we're a little bit late on the break, but the ball, the receiver was coming back and was a little bit short of the sticks, and the quarterback threw it and hit him right in the hands, and Kenai played really strong through the hands and did a great job on that. So we got off the field, and then later in the game there was an over route. It was a deceptive play with the guys acting like he's blocking and then takes off running. They had a deep over, and the quarterback put it right on the money, and Kenai aggressively, physically stripped the ball out. Great play. The positioning was fantastic, never panicked, didn't interfere with the receiver, and made a play on the ball. Those are really big plays when you talk about the development of that position and how that should continue to carry on. Not that he's expected to be perfect, but I do believe that the experience and the confidence is a real thing, and expect him to really come along and and those are some really good plays. So proud of him for that.
Okay, right side, second row, Justin.
Hey, Brent, Jeff mentioned yesterday that Gavin's somebody who he wants to get more involved. Just what are you looking for out of Gavin as he does get adjusted, and just what can he bring to the table for you guys?
Well, again, talked a lot about Gavin in fall camp, and he's really explosive. He's wide open all the time. He's had sure hands. He dropped one over the middle. We got to have that play last weekend. But he's a guy that you can count on, man. He's very invested, and he cares a great deal. And he runs with great strength, can run through trash for a smaller guy. And again, he has a nice catch radius as well. So between the special teams and getting him involved at receiver, would expect it to continue to enhance his role.
Okay, Mason Young.
Brent, do you expect to have Dason McCullough back this week?
Hopeful.
Can I also ask you about Troy Everett? What did you think of the way he
came in and did a nice
handled
job. Yeah, he can play three positions, and to say he can play all three equally, I think that's not really fair. He's capable of playing all three really, really well, but it's hard to practice him at all three positions. In practice, you only have so much in the tank, and without tearing a guy down and taking all the reps. So, but he could go in there and be a starter, and at any time. He's done a great job since he's been here.
Okay, James Jackson.
Hey, Coach, dealing with a quarterback like Preston Stone last week, how does that prepare this defense for the rest of the season? Dealing with somebody that can play, make, and do things that he
And again, Preston's a very good player. Preston, as we saw, he has tremendous accuracy, can throw on the run. Really never panicked, and he's got good instincts in the pocket. He evaded, a couple of sacks a few different times, and then he's smart. He makes good decisions, knows when to throw it away when it's not there, and not take negative plays. So that was a challenge, for our guys, and I thought again for that test they responded well, and that again, should bode well, from an experience standpoint and getting better and learning, where the margin for error is smaller, and our guys should learn from that, get better from it.
Third row, Cliff.
Yeah, Jenny had spoken to the advantages of playing in Tulsa. Wanted to talk specifically about recruiting. Obviously, some of the best high school football in the state played in Tulsa. Could you speak to that a little bit, just the level of high school ball that's played up there, and then the advantage of having a chance to take the team up there and play?
Well, I'm not trying to recruit for Tulsa, all right, but there's plenty to brag about. They've had they've got a great lineage, and there's been amazing football players that are collegiate players. The Butkus guy, the Butkus Award was there a few years ago, right? Isn't that right? Nagurski. What was his name? He went to Denver. Yeah, is that it? Yeah. He won the Butkus or no? No. Nagurski, National Defensive Player of the Year. And many others. Garrett Mills came in here, I think, caught 13 passes for 175 yards. But they've had a great lineage of players. I think maybe in the last few years they've had like 5 guys drafted just in the last few years, and our guys can play anywhere in the country. They're best players, and the state of Oklahoma. And I've said this to our staff many times. The best players in this state can play anywhere in the country, and they've proven that through the years. And there's not great depth of players, but really good football, really good coaching, really good development, excellent players, and so they'll have a handful of them, like we will and Oklahoma State will every year. But they've always done a good job, and whether they're competing for a highly recruited guy or maybe an under-recruited player, and as we know, a lot of those guys make up the majority of the guys that get drafted, guys that weren't really highly thought of. I think 3 stars is the there are more 3-stars drafted than there are, the 4 and the 5 stars. But Tulsa has, always done a great job of regardless of who's been the coach there, that city, has great talent there, the high schools there in that city and the surrounding community. So it's a great location. That's part of, from a success standpoint, location's important, and Tulsa has benefited from, the players in the state without a doubt.
Okay, far left, back row, John.
Yeah, Brent, I know you've told the story before in various places, but if you could recount, maybe you have a different perspective now that Kevin's the head coach on the other sideline. 2008, the implementation of the hurry-up offense, he was kind of one of the innovators of what we're seeing nationwide now. Can you kind of recount that? And I understand you were involved in the approval or declining of what.
Not much. Yeah. I just happened to be in the general area code. But Kevin had a background at, Northwestern with Randy Walker. And all the success, if we remember, that was always a feel-good story. The David versus Goliath. It seemed like every time Northwestern was playing, they were taking somebody to the wire or beating, one of the blue bloods of college football. So he has a great lineage and a great experience. Somebody that was never afraid to try something new. And but he and Coach Stoops and the other offensive coaches, decided, hey, look, some of these people are doing a few of these fastball plays. You had a package of 2 or 3 fastball plays. You'd put 3 people into the boundary, and you'd run a toss sweep, and then maybe you'd run a fake toss and a double post wheel, and maybe you throw a fade route or a slant or something to the field, and a fastball package. So you got a fastball defense. Well, they took it to another level, and it wasn't a bunch of quick, short throws. I remember specifically Coach Stoops says you need to go fast and run 4 verticals, because that really wasn't a popular thing to do. And and again, then I think they used the personnel and created all kinds of different formations out of the same personnel grouping, and really put defenses, on their heels, and couldn't do your sub packages and things of that nature. So at the time, it was a really big time challenge. And then you add to it the quality of the players that were involved, the accuracy of, Sam Bradford and the weapons that he had on offense and their skill, whether it was Jermaine, DeMarco, all these. He had playmakers everywhere. And but there was also, great detail and precision and a lot of thought that was put into how we do what we do. And I was just glad they were on our team. And but it was a lot of fun to watch, that maturation and in some ways evolution. Again, there's been tempo and no huddle for a very long time, well before then. But in the college football game, with what we were doing and the personnel that we were doing it with and the variety of the things, it wasn't just the run and shoot. It was they can get in high backs with the same personnel, and then they can get in empty and just blister you with whatever they were doing.
Quick follow-up. The coaches on that team, the coordinators on those early Oklahoma teams, a lot of them went on to be head coaches. Kevin was obviously one of them. But just the quality of guys that Bob hired were going on to become head coaches.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that?
Well, Coach Stoops always had a way of attracting good players. Would always get the best out of people, and then also good coaches. He's a winner. I remember Coach Snyder asking me. It was a very, for me. I've said it before, and it's really, this isn't about that, but I really struggled with, do I leave home in Kansas State or I'd go to Oklahoma? So with all the emotional attachments and the feeling, indebted to Coach Snyder, my opportunity there and what have you, the flip side was, well, that's Coach Stoops. And I love playing for him as a player, and love working and learning from him as a defensive mentor. And so when Coach Snyder says, well, once I told him I'm going to go to Oklahoma, he said, well, how do you know they're going to win? Because Oklahoma had gone several years without winning. And I was like, well, that's Bob Stoops, and he's a winner. And so I say that he attracts great coaches, but he also has the instincts for it too. And but several of the coaches, systematically have been able to, I don't know if parlay is the right word or not, but through their experiences here and the success that we had, obviously opportunities will arise, through that process.
Time for a couple more, way back, TJ.
Yeah, Coach, kind of in that same vein, talking with Coach Wilson, he weaves OU stories in and out of his press conferences when talking about his team at Tulsa. Curious, you've hit on it a little bit today, but maybe any other stories from your time with Coach Wilson that stand out to you?
Is this PG-13? No, I don't. We had a lot of good times. Our families, our kids growing up. That's the coaching profession. And this is a wonderful community to raise your families. And I know it was really hard, different coaches taking different opportunities. I don't think any of those opportunities, whether it was Chuck Long going to San Diego State, or Mike going to Arizona, or Mangino going to Kansas, or, Kevin leaving to go to Indiana, Jay Norvell leaving. I mean, I don't think any of that was probably easy for anybody. But just a lot of great memories on and off the field. It was genuine. The coaches that were a part of Bob Stoops' staff, because of his leadership, he nurtured family and relationships, and it's all of us together. Coach Stoops is one of the most humble human beings, on this planet. That's the facts. And, the byproduct of that is just a wonderful, connected environment that everybody in their families benefited from. And I think you could be, I think people felt free from the coaching side to do their thing, if you will, and be successful, as a result.
And back to Jesse.
Hey, Brent, in addition to talking a lot about Kevin Wilson, but Dominique Franks is also on the Tulsa staff as an analyst, as a defensive analyst. Maybe just what do you remember from his time at OU, and
Dom?
what's your relationship with him like?
Dom's was a fantastic player, super instinctive. He was a ball junkie, loved the game, great acceleration, just natural. The game was very easy for him, quiet, but played loud. I've stayed in touch with Dom. We tried to hire him in an analyst role. There was a few different things we were having to work through at the time. It didn't work out for him on his part, and our part too. There was he was working at a high school, and that high school's pretty good. And so when you hire somebody from a high school, then you can't recruit their program for a couple of years. That's an NCAA rule. So that made it hard, and so he's not coaching there anymore. But he's a natural. He loves the game. He's great around people. A really good communicator. It's no wonder, to me whatsoever, that he's had great success as a coach, as a mentor. He's always been about the right stuff, and so excited for his, future. He got a bright one. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Y'all have a great day.